I feel like that's old school of you, Rich. Still subscribing to a physical magazine that comes.
Well, it's actually, I don't know how I got onto it. It was supposed to be a digital only, but they
nice.
send me physical copies, and that's like pornography for me. So, like, oh yeah, I love those mid-range tweeters. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get into that.
The word like tweeter, yeah, you can't.
Yeah, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Let me take my pants off here. Oh
wow.
Sorry.
We're still recording, Rich. Oh, jeez, that's embarrassing.
Welcome to...
This is why musicians need therapy.
We talked on the last episode about mentors, and one of the biggest mentors in my life, he's unfortunately, he passed away a few years back, but he kind of cut his teeth in the 60s and 70s. And he would always tell me, kind of with a hopeful gleam, the 70s music is coming back. I'm like, dude, it's not coming back. Just because there's that 70s TV show doesn't mean the music is coming back. I mean, there's not going to be new bands that do 1970s music. However, there are elements to all of that music, I think, in today's music, as you just kind of alluded to. Do you think... I think it's a good thing, but do you think it's a good thing, or do you think maybe it's disingenuous? I mean, maybe that's kind of accusatory, and I really don't mean it to sound that way.
What specific, like
do you think? I mean, I know we're all a product of what came before in terms of music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a point to where? Because is there a point to where that kind of crosses a line? Because, Eric, you mentioned Greta Van Fleet, and, love them or hate them, whatever you want to do. I think I think I said it before, they're just totally ripping off Led Zeppelin. Now, the band Feel.
Oh, I see.
I see your connections. I don't listen to them and think, oh, they're just ripping off the Black Crowes. I think they're doing some of the things that the Black Crowes did. Maybe they're hitting a little bit harder. But I don't feel like they're ripping them off, kind of like I feel maybe Greta Van Fleet is, and
Yeah, I get that point. I think it. If you watch Greta Van Fleet, he he stands in the same stance. He does the same things. His hands do the same things as Robert Plant. And that I think that is a bit much. I think he's not bringing his own creativity, And
I want to burn that drummer's drum set down, too, because he's got all those dopey-sized toms and everything. But, yeah, anyway. As you were saying.
That was really it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, because at that point, you've just, it's almost like you've analyzed Led Zeppelin's sort of formula, algorithm, that's not that much different than what AI is doing. Maybe you can make that point. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch.
Very good point, actually. Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time, not a lot of time, but occasionally if I'm listening for trying to find new sample libraries or whatever, they'll do demos, and often the demos are in the style, like if it's a particular drum set from the 60s or whatever, and they'll do a Beatles-esque demo, you're like, okay, it's not a Beatles song, but it's clearly,
yeah.
But you just, it's for the sake of the production and to help you get an idea of what the sound is like. But what's the point of doing that for commercial release? I think it's just a rip off in that regard.
I think for me, it's like when I hear something that there's a difference between a song that reminds me of a particular artist or a particular genre, as opposed to the one that is just like really trying to imitate it.
Right.
there's a band, an alternative band out of Texas called Spoon. They've been around for years.
Oh yeah. Great songs.
And they did a song, "The Underdog," which was just a really interesting song. The drummer only used a snare drum, and they had like this horn section behind them, and acoustic guitar, and the way the vocals were done, it reminded me of earlier Billy Joel stuff. There was like one part in it that just reminded me. I didn't feel like they were ripping them off. It just reminded me of it. Yeah. And when I hear stuff like that, I feel like that's where we do the people that have come before us justice, as opposed to just trying to imitate them.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And look, honestly, that's like, I hear that a lot. Like I go back to the indie music. I hear the influences of genres, maybe not necessarily artists per se. There's a few songs that just remind me of like 80s synth pop or disco. And the thing of it is I remember that because, well, I'm old enough to, my siblings were older. I had an older brother and an older sister. And, even though I was born in 1970, they were teenagers in the 70s. So they were listening to disco. My brother was big on Billy Joel. That's when I first heard about Billy Joel, was from him listening to the Billy Joel albums. And he liked the Bee Gees, and they liked the Bay City Rollers and all that stuff. And then when I got older, I was listening to, Michael Jackson, Kool and the Gang, the Sugar Hill Gang, with Rapper's Delight and stuff like that. But I was also listening to stuff like Blondie and the Greg Kihn Band and who did, oh my gosh, the Knack, stuff like that. It was, so I had exposure to that. And sometimes when I listen to indie music, I hear that 70s genre, or I hear something from the 80s, and I might even hear something from the 90s, a lot of hip hop stuff and that sort of thing. And I appreciate that more than people just trying to copy something. Because I just feel like, God, we already had them.
Yeah. Remember in the 2000s, there was like, probably, I don't know if they were one of the biggest bands in this genre, but like the band Jet, Are You Gonna Be My Girl?
Yeah.
There was that sort of, is it punk, whatever, like kind of came back.
Were they Australian?
For a little bit. Yeah, they were Australian.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to, this might be a controversial topic, but we just let our 8-year-old daughter watch the whole of Stranger Things from which it was supervised, and we were able to tell her, like, probably don't watch this scene and that kind of stuff. Anyway, that aside, she started getting into all the music from the time and from the show that was based, in the 80s, blah blah blah. But one of the characters was really into his song was Should I Stay or Should I Go?
Oh, yeah, from The Clash, yeah.
Yeah, The Clash. And so my daughter, we were in the car, she's like, Dad, I play Should I Stay or Should I Go? I'm like, all right. And a similar thing happened where it must have gone onto auto selection or something, and it just started playing songs in that similar style. Yeah. And I can't for the life of me remember the name of it, but I think it was an Iggy Pop song came on, and I was like, this is Are You Gonna Be My Girl? Like, this isn't even is like they just a fucking rip-off. Like, it was the same riff, same production, same guitars, same drums, same vocal. I was like, oh man. And I mean, obviously Jet was tapping into that, like, when it was wildly popular. But you wouldn't say they were overly innovative, I'm guessing,
Do you know the Iggy Pop song? Because
I don't.
I'm not a huge Iggy Pop fan, so I couldn't tell you.
I'll have to go look it up, or someone can tell us. But or I'll Google it.
Yeah. That's it. Because I remember that song from Jet being huge. But I didn't know that it had. I didn't know that there was a song out there that sounded like that. So
here's
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. No. I was looking at something.
Well, I was going to say, here's a question. It's kind of another aspect of it all. It's a little different. But do you think image and being attractive is more important in today's music than the old school stuff, 70s, 80s?
Ooh. That's
my gut is to say yes. I feel like
my gut says yes too, but I know that, but I also know there's, there were, quote, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. Like that was it, right? So there was those performers were embodying that, I don't know.
It's that's actually a really interesting question, and I think I think we can get into the whole aspect of different genres of music and how that changed. One that I personally witnessed was when grunge just beat the hell out of hair metal. And thank God it did, because I hated hair metal. Oh God, that was the music of my youth. That was one thing I couldn't cave into on my friends. I couldn't do it.
Right.
They were listening to Poison and Warrant, and I was listening to Led Zeppelin, and that was never going to change. But at the time, the hair metal was the trending thing. And it kind of had that. Look, rock music has always had kind of like the men could be a little more effeminate in terms of what they were wearing, and that was okay, because it was just something that was part and parcel with the lifestyle, I guess. But hair metal, the hairspray, the teased hair, and everything, and then grunge came along, and these guys were dressed like landscapers. It's like they were either playing guitar or they were cutting your lawn, and that's what they didn't give a shit what they looked like.
Yeah. And
then after that, then you had what they called it, nerd rock, Weezer. I mean, these guys. Look at the front cover of Weezer's first album. Clearly, there was not a wardrobe assistant. There just wasn't. But I think that undercurrent of being attractive and having that image probably never really died.
Yeah,
there have been exceptions to the rule.
The perception of what's considered cool or attractive has changed.
Exactly.
It's always been a component. Yeah, that's
there might be a niche group, like I said, Weezer and stuff like that, and of course you think of Pearl Jam and Soundgarden really wasn't grunge technically, but you look at those guys coming out of Seattle, they were wearing cutoff jeans and Doc Martens, and sometimes shirts were optional and that sort of thing. Although that was actually a look too. It started to become kind of contrived after a while, but it started out as just a group of people who didn't really care what they looked like, cared about the music that they were playing. And that's not to say that people who care about what they look like don't care about the music. I want to make that distinction, but much less of an emphasis on how you looked. It was more how you sounded. What's the old line? Today's music is all about the music, and it was at that time. But yeah, I don't think that whole thing of the deliberate, glamorous pop star, rock star ever truly went away, and I don't think it ever actually will.
Yeah,
there does seem to be an inordinately huge amount of attractive pop stars, male and female. It's the look is so polished right now.
Well, I let Eric listen to that female vocalist. Jesse, I sent a song to him, and she's not your typical Jessie Mason. She's not your typical pop. She sounds like it, but she looks very different, and I don't want to be disparaging about it at all, because I don't think I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Yeah, but she doesn't fit that mold in terms of what. And I don't know. I don't even know if her music is pop, really, to be honest with you. But she has that she has that voice that you would think would really translate well to pop music, but she doesn't look the part, and I don't think she wants to. And I'm okay with that, and I hope more people are okay with that. But
Yeah.
I do think that is part of music, popular music, whether it's rock or pop or whatever.
Lady Gaga sort of shunned that image earlier on in her career. Was it Sia? You never really saw her face. I guess there's been examples of people that have deliberately hidden their identity to a certain extent,
Well, we can go back even to the 80s with Missing Persons and Dale Bozio. She was... Lady Gaga does a lot of stuff in terms of her dress, like what Dale Bozio did back in the 80s. Now, I don't think she's copying her, but there was, there's similarities. We're to a certain extent, we're all kind of imitators. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's show business, right? I mean, that's the entertainment industry. It's always all forms of art. I mean, there's always been a bit of a bias towards a perception of image. I don't want to say good, bad, or otherwise, but it's just a factor.
Yeah, and I don't think that'll ever fully go away. I think
that's right.
There are artists. It's funny, too, because I think that today's younger generation is probably less enamored by that. At least that's my opinion. But yet it still persists. I guess it's kind of like, they still make CDs. Like, who's buying them?
Yeah.
But they're still doing it. And
records.
Oh, well, records are more... I think they're making more records now than they ever did before.
Yeah, they make a comeback. I have a record machine right behind me.
Yeah, my daughter April, she's like all vinyl.
Yeah,
I mean, she has a pretty significant vinyl collection that's like growing every month. It's funny too because I don't know. I guess Eric, you were too young to remember when it was pretty much all vinyl. I don't know, Craig, was there much vinyl when you were younger?
I don't think so. By the time I started going into music stores, like I said, I think it was cassettes.
Yeah.
There might have been some. I mean, my dad had a massive vinyl collection, but that's probably, he bought all that in the 60s and 70s. Yeah.
I actually had an interesting story. My wife was years and years ago when eBay first came out, she was selling a lot of stuff on eBay, and there was this guy that was kind of a friend of ours, and that's pretty much what he did for full-time job. It was just buying stuff at like estate sales and stuff like that and selling it on eBay. He would find the deals, well, he got a treasure trove of albums from an old rock radio station up in Pennsylvania. There was just too much for him to sell, and he gave them to my wife. I mean, there were hundreds of vinyl.
Oh, wow.
I think he paid like $100 for them. They just wanted to get rid of them.
Yeah.
But he was like, I don't know a whole lot about this stuff, and maybe Rich does and whatnot. Well, we had these big wooden shelves, and we put all the albums on there, and I was going through, and at the time vinyl was dead. You couldn't even buy a new turntable. It would have had to have been a used one.
Yeah.
And I went through all these albums. We ended up just kind of we ended up throwing out a lot of them, but there were like there were albums that were only released to radio stations with like versions of songs that you would never hear. And I just think, man, wish we hadn't gotten rid of that, because that would have been worth something today, or at least it just would have been worth having to listen to. because today vinyl is the thing, and
Yeah,
which
it's huge.
I find interesting because audio-wise, it's really not the best quality. Doesn't reproduce bass very well, but it is massive today. I mean, hell, even Walmart sells vinyl now.
Yeah.
Which,
Yep.
I don't know, but I was never. My brother and sister did vinyl. I never. And when I got old enough to start buying music, it was all cassettes,
Yeah.
which was just
there you go.
terrible. You play the song over and over again. You wear out the video. Wear out the cassette, and it's garbage.
I was trying to explain to my daughter, I forget what we were talking about, something like, what does rewind mean? Or and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, well, there was these two spools inside a plastic thing, and
And then of course, if you had a real crappy cassette player, the tape would get snarled up in the and it was and then you'd have play over that song, and it would always be kind of garbled in the spot where the tape got creased.
I was in the age of Walkmans, and I remember it was a big deal when the Walkmans came out that had CD and then could also do radio.
Oh,
so I remember when I got a Walkman that had I could play the CD, and then it's like, oh, I'm tired of that. Let me switch over to the radio. That was hot shit.
Hot shit. I've heard it described many ways. Not that, but that's great.
They were huge too.
My younger sister had one for the CD, and I remember the audio quality on the headphones was so bad, and I would listen to something. It's like, where's the bass? I had to press them into my ears so I could hear like any bass at all. And of course, it went through batteries. Like put a new battery in, you play a CD, and it's dead.
Yeah,
which I don't think was very good for the planet, but
I didn't know they had Walkmans for cassettes.
Oh yeah!
Oh my goodness, that was the original. To me, a Walkman is cassette.
Yeah.
We with CDs that we called them Discman.
Oh yeah,
maybe that was an Australian thing.
Was that it was the Sony Discman, wasn't it? It wasn't the Walkman. It was the disc. Yeah,
Discman. Yeah,
yeah, because the Walkman was originally a cassette.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I don't even know what I had. So Discman, yeah.
So
I remember it was black and blue, and it was really bulky. It kind of looked like the Millennium Falcon? I don't know. I'm not a big Star Wars guy, but that circular ship. I'll stop talking about that. I'm pissing someone off.
Not a big sci-fi fan, are you, Eric?
I mean, sometimes Lord of the Rings that was my jam.
Guess
Lord of the
we'll
Rings.
scratch the Star Wars topic off of our list. Thank you very much.
There goes the Star Wars crowd. I canceled them all off.
Cancel George Lucas as our next guest.
Oh boy, well, we've alienated a lot of people. I've alienated the Welsh crowd, so why not?
All the Juggalos, you've alienated them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Sting will never come on.
He'll never come on our broadcast because Craig insulted him by calling him Welsh. Good move, Craig.
Whoops.
Way to go.
Whoops. Hey, look, I'm allowed to. I get it all the time. People call me British. People think I'm from New Zealand.
What?
Some people think I'm Canadian.
Oh, really? How drunk are they?
Usually quite.
Okay, that would explain it.
Yeah,
I would. I would say maybe more, I definitely understand why they might say British, because your Australian accent sounds a bit posh.
I'm pretty fancy.
Yeah, you are.
Speaking of not the Brits, the Scottish, they came over for the World Cup and pretty much drank all the beer in Boston. I hear.
I heard about that.
They drank Simmons dry, man.
That's impressive.
It is. Like Boston is a drinking, sports party, town. But they weren't ready for the Scottish.
You got a tap room that's probably attached to a brewery, and you ran out.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, right. That's God love the Scots. Yeah. So here's an interesting question about music. You talk about you asked the question, Craig, where do we consume most of our music?
Yeah.
Does anybody still listen to the radio? I mean, I honestly can't tell you it's been years since I actually listened to the radio for music.
I do listen to the radio, but yeah, exactly, not for music. I listen to sports talk radio. That's what's on, every day in my car. I'm sure, you can, like, there's obviously dedicated country stations, dedicated, current hits stations, and you could learn, hear new music through that. But yeah, I definitely don't. I'd be willing to bet too that a lot of people don't.
I just think because we're such a instant gratification society, I remember the days of calling up the radio station and requesting a song and waiting all fucking day for that song to come on, and it never did, but today it's like, I want to hear a song. Well, I'll go to Spotify, or I'll go to YouTube, or Apple Music, or Amazon Music, whatever. I just wonder from a musical standpoint how radio stations are surviving with that kind of competition, and really, are they? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you a local station. Apart from this is how snooty I am. Apart from NPR. Sorry, I'm a bit of an elitist over here.
Yes,
my British accent. Listen to NPR.
94.7, I think, plays country. I know that.
Okay,
there you go.
But I don't know what the station's called.
When I first moved here, and this was before Spotify, actually before Pandora, we had I think it was iTunes, and that was pretty much it. And of course, you had to pay for every song. Yep. There was a station out of NC State, 88.1, I think. It's good God, it's been almost 20 years ago, and they were of course a college radio station. They played alternative music, and I would listen to them from time to time. But for music, that was the last time that I think I listened to the radio at all, because everything is at our fingertips now. And
that's right.
People have complained about the quality and whatnot, but I've never had an issue with listening to a song on Spotify or YouTube or whatever.
Well, haven't we talked a little bit about how that's just destroyed any pathway for the artists to make a lot of money off of their song, right? I mean, you pay Spotify a little monthly thing, and then you can download whatever you want, or find whatever you want on YouTube. So
yeah,
I mean,
that was actually something that I did kind of want to bring up. Is kind of we talk about where music we talk about where music was at, where it is today, but where it's heading, and I think there's a lot of question marks about that. Because we've heard the stories about, how people, physical sales of albums just are almost non-existent these days, unless it's vinyl. Vinyl is kind of helping bands actually get that physical copy into a consumer's hands. But, for things like Spotify, even though I enjoy it, and, our podcast is on Spotify and all that stuff, it's like everything else. It's haves and have-nots. Somebody like Taylor Swift, I know we mentioned her before, she's making plenty of money off Spotify, but other people aren't. And how is that sustainable? And now we see concert tickets just going through the roof.
Exactly what I was just going to say. Couple that with just outrageous concert ticket prices.
And think about this from the artist standpoint. They're now Ticketmaster's taking 30% of their merchandise, which used to be free and clear. I'm not saying that the bands are justified, and like I love Teddy Swims, but I'm not paying $300 for lawn seats at the Red Hat Amphitheater.
Right.
Not going to do that. But at a certain point, what do the artists do? What do they do? Because physical sales are gone. If you don't have some sort of deal in place with Spotify, or you're not some massive artist, you're not going to make any money off streaming. Where do you go from there? I don't know.
Well, but people are still doing albums. They're still doing full albums.
Yeah, but how?
How do you make money off of them?
That's kind of the last death throes of the music business in a sense. I could be wrong about that, but
it is a weird. I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about the history. There was so much backlash against piracy, understandably, stealing music, and streaming from Spotify essentially feels like that again. We've gone. For whatever, I don't know what Spotify is. What is it, like $6 a month or something? You can,
well, it depends. Like right now, we have a family plan. I think we're paying like $23 a month.
Yeah,
but where's that money going?
All the music you can consume.
I pay $13, and then if I want to add, I have a playlist, and if I want to add, I just go press the plus button and add whatever I want to add for free, and for $13 a month. So.
Yeah. I mean, where is that money going to?
Well, and I mean, I think, I see countless posts from newish bands saying, like, you might have even talked about this, Rich, like, come tour the US and it's basically, you might break even, but it's generally just everything's at a loss. Like, the big artists are still making money, not maybe what they used to, but, yeah, it's tough. I don't know where it's headed. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just way harder to break out as an artist, for sure, right?
Well, yeah,
Get through the noise,
I guess it's easier to get exposure. It's easier for more people to hear your stuff. Maybe breakout's the wrong word. Much harder to monetize your art. Yeah, like you said, if you're not a household name, much easier to get your art out there, and people,
yes,
it's a lot more widespread. A lot more people can hear it, but they're not going to pay you for it. So
that's right.
Yeah, and man, I don't know. It's weird because I think the same thing is happening with the movie industry. Back in the day, it was all about that theater experience. And then COVID rolled around, and then a lot of these movies were going direct to streaming services or whatnot. Yep. And now I will admit I'm probably not as fastidious as I used to be in terms of what did the top movie gross this week? But I don't really see these movies making nearly the kind of money in theatrical releases as they used to. And people are either waiting for it to come out on streaming services, or they're just not watching it at all. And of course, the theater experience has gotten so expensive. It's kind of like concert tickets for music. You're going to pay $20 for a bucket of popcorn and $10 for a soda.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
and the tickets are up, close to 20 now. Like, I was going to take Towns to see the Michael Jackson movie, but the theater experience, because you can't just buy tickets and then just go watch the movie without stopping by the snack bar. That's psychos do. So, you get some snacks, get a drink, a slushie. You're looking at $50, and then I bought the Michael Jackson. I bought the Michael Jackson movie at home for $18 or $19. So
yeah, and is a theater experience, that much better. Now I will say that when it comes to music, the music experience is that much better. I mean, listening to an album is great, but it's not like going to a concert. It is
for sure.
But look, I mean, man, the last concert I went to is when we went to see Corey Wong. Yeah, tickets are just too expensive.
Yeah.
I even though I like a group, I just can't justify that. And, you know, maybe there's some bands that are being opportunistic about it. But I think that there are other bands that are kind of in a place where everything is so expensive and everybody's taking money from us. You know, I mean, just, well, to go back to that, Craig, that band that I was talking about was, I hope I get their name right. They are Los Campesitos. They're an indie cult band from the UK. And they made waves by posting a brutally honest financial breakdown of their U.S. tour. Their ticket sales racked up to, well, this is in UK money, £99,000, but their expenses topped over £100,000, meaning they lost money on their live performances alone, and only made any kind of money, minimal at best, through merchandise sales. So I don't really think that, you know, we've all been to concerts and we all know that it's not like listening to the album. It's an experience. But I think that's they're pricing out a lot of people. And at some point, what have they been talking about recently? The what do they call it? The blue dot syndrome, something like that, where, you know, when you look at a concert venue map for tickets, the blue dots represent the tickets that are still available. And people aren't buying tickets. There's tours that have been canceled because of low ticket sales, because people are like, I'm not paying that kind of money for, you know, and I don't know where they go from there. I don't know where the record industry goes. Vinyl has helped them out, but I don't know, you know, like, what's next? I think people will continue to make music, but I don't think it's going to be. It's the usual suspects are where we're going to go to get that music. I think streaming changed all that, and it will continue to change. I don't know, but yeah, it's just.
Well, these things have a way of self-democratizing or whatever. Yeah, we're just in a period of change. I mean, it's, you know, even in my own music career, it's very different from what it was from, you know, when I started. The landscape of record companies and all that kind of stuff. But
I mean, it's just our from your experience then to now. How is that? Has that made you shift certain things, the way you do things, or are you just? I don't actually know what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, I think I remember in late 2000s, you know, I was finishing up touring with the Ten Tenors, and I had dreams of, I don't know, going to LA or London or whatever, and capitalizing on the connections that I had made. I mean, we were signed to Warner Brothers for a good while there, and had did some crazy stuff, like recorded at Abbey Road, recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra and stuff, you know, like, and I had connections to all that, to like that A&R guy and all that kind of stuff, and really within the space of from like 2009 to 2012-ish, really with, I guess that was probably pre-streaming, but with essentially downloads and when whatever the alternative was, but essentially people moving away from buying physical, I guess, CDs. A lot of those producers and A&R people, they all lost their jobs. So those connections that I made just was like, sorry, I'm doing other stuff now, you know, and then I had built up some skills that I think now they're just, I think people can either do by themselves, or they're not that interested, or those sorts of records aren't really being made anymore. I mean, I spent a lot of time sort of studying orchestration techniques and that style of music, and that sort of that genre is just not as popular anymore. So now I didn't sort of switch gears much. I didn't sort of go, oh well, let's pivot. I I ended up falling into playing covers for drunk people and sort of got, which I genuinely enjoyed. Don't get me wrong.
And the world is better for it.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
so it's
Look, it's probably one of the areas. It's probably one of the areas that would kind of survive. You know,
there's always going to be drunk people.
That's right,
Craig.
That's right.
Yeah, it will be.
Just go to Scotland.
There you go.
Or Boston. Good God. Well,
I did want to say one quick thing before we, I think we're getting out of time, but I just thought it would be remiss of us not to mention, I was thinking about this in terms of what's popular right now, and just a big picture is, I'm sure you guys have heard of it, but I was asking Google, like, is there a bit of a resurgence, but a surge in popularity with female artists, particularly in the pop realm. I found some interesting statistics that was saying that they indeed are like experiencing sort of unprecedented statistical success. It says across the industry, female artists and soloists are dominating commercial music, with women accounting for 63.4% of the overall streaming share among the top 100.
63%?
Pop artists, yeah. And between 2020 and 2024, female artists saw a 130% growth rate in US on-demand audio streams.
Wow.
Outpacing the 32% growth of male artists, which I think is really cool. Yeah. I think it's really cool. As a father of a 8-year-old daughter who's starting to get into songwriting and stuff and whatnot, I think it's
Well, I have always I love the idea. I mean, women have always been involved in music. Don't get me wrong, but I love the idea of that. Nikki, our old drummer from Plus, I love the fact that she was there in a role that is supremely male dominated. You know, I get my Live Sound magazine every month, and there's always, profiles of people doing live sound for larger bands, and there's more women getting into it, and I think that's fantastic. And I think that what you just talked about, Craig, is super cool.
Yeah,
really love that.
I feel like that's old school of you, Rich. Still subscribing to a physical magazine that comes.
Well, it's actually, I don't know how I got onto it. It was supposed to be a digital only, but they send me physical copies, and that's like pornography for me. So like, oh yeah, I love those mid-range tweeters. Oh, yeah, we'll get into that.
The word like tweeter, yeah, you can't.
Yeah, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Let me take my pants off here. Oh
wow! Sorry. We're still recording, Rich. Oh, jeez, that's embarrassing.
That's podcast. We can do whatever.
That's fine. Yeah, that's right.
We've lost our conservative audience now.
Yeah, they were a big mainstay for us. Well, look, guys,
it's been fun.
I think we'll about leave it there. But that was a good conversation. Like I said, we talk about mental health issues a lot, but sometimes it's just good to talk about music. And like I said, I think it's something that everybody can relate to, because except for that one guy that Eric mentioned who cuts hair, everybody else I've talked to listens to music. So,
yeah, I think we decided, if you want to be a new artist and get your music out there to try and monetize it, don't.
You're screwed. Yeah, go back to accounting. You'll be better off. Well, look, guys, thanks for listening. We had a great time, and we hope you did too. We are on all the usual suspects: Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. So check us out there. Like the show, subscribe to it, follow it, share the show with somebody you think might like it. And that'll help us to kind of get the word out. And that's always a good thing. If any of you listening have any ideas for topics, just go ahead and send us a comment and on our social media pages. We would love to kind of incorporate that into future episodes. So for myself, Eric Forbes, and Craig Henry, we'll catch you next time.